Welcome everyone to the January 10th Sunday service of the Unitarian Universalist Church of St. Petersburg. I'm Jack Donovan, pastor of our congregation. We are a congregation which seeks to promote spiritual growth and caring community for ourselves and for the world, on the journey of appreciating life and learning from the wisdom of all persons and peoples. UU St. Pete is a congregation for all souls and their fulfillment. All ages, genders, orientations, colors, abilities, educations, beliefs, questions, and hopes. If I left you off the list, please let me know. We particularly appreciate questions and hopes. And we carry with us through this service and this week a deep, if unavoidable, awareness of the divides in our country and the efforts by some to widen them and by others to learn to transcend them and grow a more perfect union. The one outcome I'm sure of in this time of great uncertainty and disturbance is that social scientists around the world are going to have a field day trying to figure out what's going on here. Perhaps it will come down to tribalism manipulated by wealth and power. In the meantime, today, thanks for being with us. And may our time together give you strength, clarity, peace, joy, and encouragement. Blessings also of this past week and this coming week and their holidays and honorings, including our congregation's 106th birthday in St. Petersburg, and also 12th night, Epiphany, ending human trafficking, the constitutional swearing in of a new Congress, and the preparations for the presidential inauguration. Thanks to Patty and James and John for blessing today's service with their presence, words, music, and production. And thanks to all of you who make us a blessed community.
Good morning. I'm Patty Hanks, a member of this congregation, and it's wonderful to be with you this morning. We light our chalice now, just over my shoulder, as a symbol of our search for truth, our shared communion, and in light of understanding and caring. Join, if you will, in the words of our covenant. Love is the spirit of this church, and service its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. Our invocation and moment for meditation this morning is from Wendell Berry's poem, The Peace of the Wild Things. Berry is an American novelist, poet, essayist, environmental activist, and describes himself as a farmer. We share this poem at the suggestion of Candace Nelson's daughter in remembrance of Candace's questing spirit and pilgrimage, and as a contemplative prayer for us all in this turbulent time. When despair for the world grows in me, and I wake in the night at the least sound, in fear of what my life and my children's lives may be, I go and lie down where the wood drake rests in his beauty on the water and the great heron feeds. I come into the peace of the wild things who do not tax their lives with forethought of grief. I come into the presence of still water, and I feel above me the day-blind stars waiting with their light. For a time, I rest in the grace of the world and am free. Close your eyes for 5 breaths now, if you like, and feel the peace of the moment. And now our opening hymn.
my senses and hear the earth call. Feel the deep power of being in all. Keep with the web of creation your vow, giving, receiving as love shows us how. Wake now, my reason, reach out to the new. Join with each pilgrim who quests for the true. Honor the beauty and wisdom of time. Suffer thy limit and praise the sublime. Wake now, compassion, give heed to the cry. Voices of suffering fill the white sky. Take as your neighbor both stranger and friend, praying and striving their hardship to end.
A special good morning to our families and children this morning. I'm glad that you are all here. My 9-year-old granddaughter, Daisy, gave me a book to read a few weeks ago. It wasn't a Christmas gift. She just liked the story and she thought maybe I would too. Its title is One Amazing Elephant. I don't think you can probably see that here, but it's about a 12-year-old girl named Lily Rose and an elephant, a circus elephant named Queenie Grace. Queenie is supposed to come under the care of Lily Rose, but the problem is Lily Rose is afraid of the elephant. I don't know how it turns out. I'm more than halfway through. There are some very funny parts. There are some sad parts. I'm liking it all. I'm supposed to report back to Daisy to tell her what I thought. But I don't know yet. I don't know how it's going to turn out. I'm hoping that Lily Rose and Queenie Grace will end up as best friends. But I don't know if they'll end up safe and happy. Reading about Lily Rose and Queenie Grace made me realize there is always one question that stays with me throughout a book. And I've loved books since I was very little. I wonder if you can guess the question. I won't keep you in suspense. The question is, do the characters end up safe and happy? Maybe that is the question for almost every storybook, and maybe for every other book that gets written. I also realized it's important for me to learn something from a book or from other people about how to be safe and happy, or not. So I'm learning a lot from this book already. I remember reading some books where wonderful surprises just popped out. And I suddenly understood something entirely new. Aha, I would think, now I understand that. Well, it always made me feel a little bit safer, a little bit happier. I'll let you know if Lily Rose and Queenie Grace learn to help each other learn to how to stay safe and happy. So see you soon, I hope. Be safe and be happy. And now, Patty with Joys and Concerns.
If you have a particular personal joy or concern to share today, and my joy is being able to say hello to all of you, and that Chica is joining me. Hey, Chica. She's thrilled. Please type your joy or concern into the comment column on the right of your YouTube screen. You may share again during our coffee hour after service. You're also welcome to let us know about personal joys or concerns that you would like shared at this time during our weekly service. You can let Dave Mapp or Susan Bernard of our worship committee know. Hard times continue. Please let us know anytime it seems a bit too much to carry alone, and keep remembering one another. Being in this community means a lot to me. Now our offering for this morning. To keep our congregation thriving, may we remember our connection to one another And let us not forget our offerings as an important means to those connections. As you listen to our brief offertory, you can click the I in the upper right-hand corner of your screen to make a contribution. You can also donate using our Give Plus app, at our webpage using the Giving tab, or sending a check to the church office. So many ways. However you contribute to this church community, we offer many thanks.
Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
We have two readings this morning. Our first reading is a post-Christmas gospel reading from the New Testament, Luke chapter 2 and Matthew chapter 2. Words about the joy of a new child. After Jesus was born, shepherds living in the fields, keeping watch over their flock, received good news of great joy, that in their village of Bethlehem, to their family of the shepherd King David, was born a new shepherd king to save his people. And they went with haste and found Mary and Joseph, and they saw their child lying in a manger and shared the good news with all around, glorifying and praising God. And Mary treasured all these words and pondered them in her heart. And also in those days, Persian magi, priestly wise people, came asking, "Where is the child born King of the Jews? So we may go to him and honor him." And the magi saw the child's birth star and followed till it rested upon a house, and there they found the child. Overwhelmed with joy, they knelt and paid homage, offering gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh.
Stars keep the watch when night is dim. One more light the bowl shall bring, shining beyond the frosty weather, bright as sun and moon together. People look east and sing today. Love, the star is on the way. People look east, the time is near of the crowning of the year. Make your house fair as you are able. Trim the hearth, set the table. People look east and sing today. Love, the guest, is on the way.
Our second reading is entitled Egg by poet C.G. Hanslacek. A lovely poem, I would say, set in a kitchen. I'm scrambling an egg for my daughter. Why are you always whistling? She asks. Because I'm happy. And it's true, though it stuns me to say it aloud. There was a time when I wouldn't have seen it as my future. It's partly a matter of who there is to eat the egg. The self fallen out of love with itself through the tedium of familiarity, or this little self so curious, so hungry, who emerged from the woman I love, a woman who loves me in a way I've come to think I deserve, now that it arrives from outside me. Everything changes, we're told, and now the changes are everywhere. The house with its morning light that fills me like a revelation, the yard with its trees that cast a bit more shade each summer. The love of a woman that both is and isn't confounding. And the love of this clamor of questions at my waist. Clamor of questions. You clamor of answers. Here's your egg.
Has time ever felt so unmeasured as in these past 10 months? So gone, yet so endless. Have relationships ever seemed so stretched and weightless, yet so pressing and so important? And understanding and caring, so precious, so rare. The rules of time and space and of being and believing all went missing in 2020. 2020 was a year full of misrule. Not the topsy-turvy, exhilarating, revelatory 12 days of misrule at Yuletide, where rulers are dethroned for a few days and the ruled redress the rules. Fair to say 2020 was the perversion of misrule in the old-fashioned way. Rulers ruling now for their own narrow interests alone, and the misruled topsy-turvy calling it good. Our months and days have been unprecedented this past year, and one might also call them unprecedented. And now we've rushed past the 12 days of Yuletide and are rushing through the 40 days of Christmastide to Candlemas and Imbolc, when all the artificial light and greenery is put away for the season, because we hope true light and life are coming into the world. Candlemas and Imbolc and Groundhog Day tell us the sun still rules. In universal space and time, even when all seems over, it's not over. New truths, yes, constantly coming, but with them, life with loose ends, that it is up to us to tie together into the fabric of life. 6 years ago, in my second sermon as your minister, I described our world situation with these words. We do appear to be in a heap of hellish trouble. Climate change, overpopulation, species decimation, the gap in wealth and power, rampant infectious diseases, human trafficking and slavery, terrorism, economic and military imperialism. For some, it's just an overload of life's familiar grief, heartbreak, fear, and helplessness. And for some, it's the widespread failure or inability or unwillingness to communicate and commune and relate respectfully. End quote. We've seen today before, not just on video replay either. We still haven't learned to overcome fear, to overcome unwillingness to communicate, to overcome unwillingness to respect. We have not overcome. We do not believe in ourselves. External misrule is internalized without our awareness. Whence comes that awareness? The paradigm shift of understanding and caring that we call an epiphany. Some say humanity is going through a gradual awakening. It's a long time coming. The Buddha tells us that you can't teach awakening, enlightenment, liberation from suffering, but you can teach the steps to attain it or them. Diadema, the same, teaching gradual steps to universalizing the virtue of care. Jesus, the same, steadfastly insisting that you, not he alone, but you alone, and all together, are the light of the world, too often hidden under a basket. That light and enlightenment is not the sentimental light of amour or eros or even friendliness, despite pop culture's promotion and those things' intimate delight. The light of awakening and liberation is the light of understanding and caring, knowing how to help the spirit grow and then helping it happen. Or just as likely, of course, trying to help the spirit grow, then through trying, learning how. Since the light seems to be awakening too slowly within us, we are compelled to ask on this fourth day of Epiphany, with 21 days left to Groundhog Day, how do we wake to our own light and not be scared by our shadow? In the darkness of fear and greed, how do we make our way to a profounder paradigm of being and relating? How do we grow to increase peace and truth and goodness? As we heard earlier, one of Candace Nelson's favorite poets, Wendell Berry, spoke to her and for her over her years of resistance to the neurobiological misrule of her body and its unruly temptations to despair. In wild things, in their sleep, in their feeding, in their stillness, in their steadfast light, there are reminders that in the midst of misrule by fear and grief, there is a providence that yet graces us, empowers us, offers rest, if we'll awaken to it. Perhaps so the shepherds from the fields and flocks heard the good news and rejoiced in hope for the shepherd king. Going, seeing the new as if our eyes are new. These are steps toward awakening to reality and goodness. And the babe's mother, too, rejoices, pondering what all this joy could mean. Pondering itself prompts epiphany, new profound appreciation. The Magi of Persia, hooked by a star, were welcomed into the house of David to celebrate a future king. If it's in the stars, then it's in the power of the universe that is in us. Leave the old routine for a new vision, beyond the horizon. Follow the star, beyond resistance to wonder and hope. Transcend the old order. Discover the unimagined possibilities in the world's soul and yours. The dad cooking an egg for his own little egg, the seed of his bliss. Being happy and suddenly realizing it's been there for a while. Moved by his own child's question, realizing joy in loving something beyond himself, that is in fact himself, mixed with another person's love, making a familial love that will never become tedious from familiarity. All in this joyous little Misrule, this clamor of questions, who is herself filled with the answer for her father. I've not spoken much directly today about the details of misrule of our world and nation and communities and sometimes ourselves. You're getting plenty of commentary on that these days, and we certainly discuss the details in our Thursday noon Citizens Cafes and the profound discussions we've been having about our principles and covenants. Rather, I'm asking this morning about the possibility to grow in understanding and caring for our relationships in the world and how we start, or what starts us. Sometimes it's a star, sometimes a child, sometimes a blessing, sometimes a tragedy. Almost always there's a question, something that cracks open our constraining paradigms of understanding and caring and lets our spirit grow out into new dimensions. As the Nativity Carol goes, how silently, the wondrous gift is given. Keep watch. By the gifts of understanding and caring, we can measure and treasure our days. Now, Patty, John, and James with the closing of our service. Blessings, and hope to see you at our Zoom hour right after the service.
A few announcements as we close. First, there is a communications team doing great things. Our website and our newsletter is helping us keep informed about our congregation activities. Thanks so much to everyone who's working on this. And second, feel free to contact Pastor Jack anytime to talk. During these separated times, he can also meet you on the church portico in the fresh air. Contact information is posted at the conclusion of our service. And now, as our service ends, and until we meet together, we pass a breath wherever we are and pass the flame of our chalice light to each other as we say these familiar closing words together. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of love, or the fire of courage. These we carry in our hearts and out into the world.